In 537 AD, Rome faced annihilation. Only one man stood in the way, Flavius Belisarius. He wasn't an emperor or a noble but a general, Justinian's sword, tasked with saving the city. The Ostrogoths, 150,000 strong, surrounded Rome. Belisarius had just 5,000 men. This wasn't just a battle for land, it was a fight for the soul of Rome. Justinian, ruling from Constantinople, dreamed of restoring the Roman Empire's lost glory. Belisarius had already crushed the Persians at Dara and destroyed the Vandals in North Africa. Now he was sent to reclaim Italy itself. The odds were impossible, but Belisarius had the city's ancient walls and his own genius. The stage was set for one of history's most remarkable sieges. To understand this siege, we must look back. The Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD, but the East survived, thriving in Constantinople. The Byzantines saw themselves as true Romans, heirs to Augustus and Constantine. Justinian, ascending in 527, was determined to reclaim the lost western provinces. He codified Roman law, built the Hagia Sophia, and launched a campaign to restore the empire. Belisarius was his chosen instrument. After conquering the Vandals, Belisarius swept through Sicily and up the Italian peninsula. In 536 he entered Rome unopposed, the first imperial army in the city in over 60 years. The Roman eagle had returned, but the real test was just beginning. Italy was ruled by the Ostrogoths, a Germanic people who'd once brought peace under Theodoric the Great. By Belisarius's arrival, Theodoric was dead, and the kingdom was weakened by infighting. Vitiges, a soldier king, now led the Goths, determined but no match for Belisarius's cunning. He rallied a massive army, confident they could crush the small Byzantine force. The Goths were tough, skilled fighters, ruling over a larger Roman population and controlling Italy's resources. As they surrounded Rome in March 537, they believed victory was inevitable, but they were about to face a master of defense. When the Goths arrived at the gates of Rome, the city was braced for a siege unlike any it had faced in centuries. The air was thick with tension as the citizens watched the horizon, knowing that the fate of the eternal city hung in the balance. Belisarius, the brilliant Byzantine general, had transformed Rome into a formidable fortress. He ordered the ancient walls to be repaired, towers reinforced, and every storehouse filled with grain and supplies. The city's defenders worked day and night, preparing for the storm to come. With only 5,000 men under his command, Belisarius knew he couldn't defend every inch of the sprawling city. Instead, he relied on speed, cunning, and the strength of Rome's ancient fortifications, using every advantage the city could offer. The mighty Aurelian Walls, built centuries before to withstand barbarian invasions, now stood as his shield and the city's last hope. The first Gothic assault came just 18 days into the siege, catching many by surprise with its ferocity and speed. Massive siege towers and heavy battering rams rumbled toward the city gates, their shadows looming over the defenders as the enemy advanced relentlessly. Belisarius waited with nerves of steel, holding his fire until the last possible moment. Then with deadly precision, his men targeted the oxen pulling the siege towers, throwing the Gothic attack into chaos and confusion. From the ramparts, Roman archers unleashed a deadly hail of arrows, their volleys darkening the sky and breaking the momentum of the Gothic ranks below. The discipline and precision of the defenders stunned the attackers, who had expected a swift victory but instead met fierce resistance. The siege had truly begun. Belisarius's tactics turned the city's walls into a deadly trap, with ambushes and hidden dangers awaiting every assault. The Goths soon realized this would not be a quick or easy victory. Each failed attack sapped their morale and resources. Every new assault was met with calculated resistance, as the defenders adapted and countered each Gothic move with determination. The battle for Rome became not just a contest of strength but a true test of nerves, strategy, and ingenuity, one that would decide the fate of the eternal city. Belisarius's defense was a masterful blend of time-tested Roman engineering and innovative new tactics, a true testament to his strategic genius. He understood that defending Rome required more than just brute force. It demanded creativity, adaptability, and a deep knowledge of both the city's strengths and its vulnerabilities. He transformed the city's ancient walls into deadly fortresses, arming them with skilled archers, powerful ballistae, and massive catapults. These weapons rained destruction on the besieging Goths, inflicting heavy losses and making every assault costly. The defenders' relentless volleys kept the enemy at bay, turning the walls into a nearly impenetrable barrier. Anticipating sabotage and infiltration, Belisarius ordered the city's aqueducts to be blocked. This bold move denied the enemy a potential entry point and cut off their access to water, but it also meant hardship for those inside the city. The people of Rome now had to rely on wells and the waters of the Tiber River for survival. It was a harsh and risky sacrifice, but Belisarius knew it was necessary to keep the city secure from within and without. To keep the enemy off balance, Belisarius launched daring cavalry raids beyond the city gates. These small, swift attacks harassed the Goths, disrupted their plans, and created the illusion that Rome's defenders were far more numerous than they truly were. These surprise attacks shattered Gothic morale, sowing confusion and fear in their ranks. The besiegers never knew when or where the next strike would come, keeping them constantly on edge. Inside the city, Belisarius acted with ruthless determination against suspected traitors. He exiled senators and even the Pope, making it clear that betrayal would not be tolerated, no matter one's status or influence. Unity was enforced by a mix of fear, necessity, and the ever-present threat of the enemy outside the walls. The city's survival depended on absolute loyalty and discipline. The defenders endured hunger, disease, and constant anxiety. Yet, through it all, Belisarius's leadership inspired resilience and hope, holding the city's defenders together in the face of overwhelming odds. The siege became as much a psychological struggle as a physical one. Both sides tested each other's resolve, knowing that a single moment of weakness could tip the balance. With every passing day, Rome's fate hung by a thread, the outcome uncertain, and the world watching to see who would prevail. The siege dragged on for over a year, grinding down both sides. The city's defenders, battered and weary, clung to hope as supplies dwindled and the threat of starvation loomed. Outside the walls, the besieging Goths grew restless, their patience tested by the stubborn resistance within. The Goths' assaults failed, their numbers turning into a liability as disease and hunger spread. The crowded camps became breeding grounds for illness, and morale plummeted as the siege dragged on with no end in sight. Belisarius managed to get word to Constantinople, and reinforcements slipped into the city by river, boosting morale. The sight of fresh troops and supplies brought a surge of hope to the exhausted defenders, reminding them that they were not forgotten. Later, a larger fleet brought more troops and supplies, shifting the balance. The besieged city, once on the brink of collapse, now bristled with renewed energy and determination. With new strength, Belisarius struck back, seizing control of the river and cutting off the Goths' supply lines. The tables had turned, and the besiegers now found themselves trapped by the very city they sought to conquer. Vitiges launched one last desperate assault. It ended in disaster. The defenders, emboldened by their newfound strength, repelled the attack with fierce determination. Demoralized and starving, the Goths retreated in March 538. Their dream of capturing Rome lay in ruins, and their army was shattered by defeat and deprivation. Belisarius's defense became legend, a masterclass in strategy and leadership. His ability to inspire his men and outmaneuver his enemies would be studied for generations. The victory paved the way for the Byzantine reconquest of Italy, though the war would drag on. The triumph at Rome was only the beginning of a long and arduous campaign. Rome was left scarred and depopulated, but its spirit endured. The city's battered walls and empty streets stood as silent witnesses to both suffering and resilience. For the Byzantines, Belisarius's stand was a moment of triumph. It was proof that courage and ingenuity could overcome even the darkest odds. Against impossible odds, one general had saved the eternal city. His name would be remembered as the savior of Rome, a beacon of hope in a time of chaos. The legacy of Rome and Belisarius would echo through history, inspiring future generations to stand firm in the face of adversity.